Welcome everyone to an interesting panel session on advancing emerging technologies to address sustainable development challenges. The HKN TechX program is very excited to host this panel because today we have great leaders from breadth and width of IEEE who are leading amazing programs in the IEEE humanitarian and sustainable development space. So I'm pretty sure this panel will throw out and showcase some of the impactful programs and opportunities that is available to our members, to our HKN members. Why this is important is that we are all still, trying to tackle and come back to normalcy after the pandemic situation. And also, while we are living in an age of personalization, what we do in everyday activity, about 50% of the planet is still facing difficulties in accessing clean water, clean air, and whatnot, connecting to the internet. So given this challenge, I think IEEE and HKN members plays a very vital role in applying the technical skills and leadership skills to solve these universal challenges. So with that brief note, I'll now take this opportunity to welcome my panelists. We have with us Dr. Rajan Kapoor, the president of IEEE Smart Village. We have Dr. Lavanga Herbert, the global chair of the IEEE Humanitarian Technology Board. And we have with us Dr. Louis Kuhn, the president of IEEE SSIT. And then we have with us Dr. Mohammed, who is the chair of the IEEE Special Interest Group on Humanitarian Technology. I take this opportunity to welcome this august and eminent set of leaders who are representing great programs within IEEE. With that said, I'll do a quick set of introduction at a high level, and then the way this panel is going to be done is very interesting. We are going to ask our panelists to talk about a few of their programs, and they will be providing a brief presentation about each of this program. And after that, we will have a very interactive Q&A sessions with them to know more about the emerging technology, how it's relevant to the sustainable development space. Dr. Rajan Kapoor is an amazing leader, and he's leading the Smart Village program. What makes it very unique is that today you will hear from him. What kind of opportunities are available to the fabric of Smart Village. Without any ado, I invite Dr. Rajan Kapoor, the president of IEEE Smart Village, to provide a brief presentation about the Smart Village program. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Sampath, and greetings to everybody who's attending today. So I'm privileged to work with IEEE Smart Village. This is about a 14-year-old humanitarian organization within IEEE. And we have been working in 4 continents over these years. In the next 5 or 10 minutes, I'll tell you what we do and what role you might play in this in the coming years. Next slide, please. So IEEE Smart Village grows local businesses in local communities around the world. Now you might ask, what is IEEE doing growing businesses? Well, that is what I'm going to cover in the next few minutes. So next slide, please. So our role within IEEE is advancing technology for humanity. What we do in Smart Village is that we are advancing technology for all humanity. A little earlier, Sampath alluded to the 15% that is unserved. It is that 15% that we focus on. These are the people who don't have access to Apples and Teslas. These are people who live on no electricity or less than a tenth of a kilowatt hour of electricity per day. These are the people that we address because this does fall under the umbrella of advancing technology for all humanity. It's just that it is the 15% that we often neglect in our pursuit of the next shiny technology or the next advance in what we are doing in our particular fields. Next slide, please. So our primary mission is to mentor local enterprises run by local people in underserved communities around the world. With the advice and consent of the communities, we help them set up technology-based businesses, because after all, it is technology's benefits that we are trying to bring to them. And along with that, in setting up these enterprises, along with that, of course, the focus is renewable energy, but it is all the other technologies that IEEE also brings to the table, whether it is sensors, whether it is the internet. All of this is a part of what we bring forward, because energy alone is not enough to make a difference. It is the productive use of energy. It's the livelihoods that are enabled by energy. That is what will improve the incomes for the people that we work with. And that is what we try and do. The other comment I'll make at this point is that we are not a charity. Charity is not sustainable. We specifically want businesses to be set up. We want scalable businesses to be set up. We want self-sustaining businesses to be set up. So in our context, sustainability is not simply the sustainability of the planet. It is also the sustainability of the businesses that we set up or we help set up to keep the planet going, to address the issues that we are facing because of the way we live now. So next slide, please. So here is an example. In this instance, we are doing a development in the far northeastern part of India. Here we are bringing in solar powered irrigation, smart sensors for smart irrigation. We are bringing in micro agricultural processing right at the site, right within the village. So things like grain milling, things like oil pressing, all of these kind of things. There's also aquaculture that will come in. And all of this is enabled by the renewable energy that we'll provide through solar in these areas. So next slide, please. So here are that previous slide you saw is a project that's about to begin, or that's an enterprise that's going to be run by a village committee that's about to begin. The three I show over here are ongoing enterprises. The leftmost picture is the first of its kind solar powered rice mill in West Africa, 60 kilowatts on the roof of a building that was built to house rice processing equipment. And what this does is that it provides the local women an opportunity to upgrade their produce, to compete with imported processed rice, and as such increase their own incomes, and then also help the country with import substitution. The middle slide is from Zambia. This is a young woman doing gemstone cutting. Some of you may know that Zambia is one of the largest producers of precious and semi-precious stones, but all of them go overseas for processing. So all that income opportunity is lost. What we are doing here with a young woman called Kanikwa Kachinga, trained as a journalist, what we are doing with her is that she's setting up these women's cooperatives. They will do the gemstone cutting locally. We'll help them set up solar-powered gemstone cutting shops. She has got MOUs with a training school. She has got an MOU with the suppliers of these gems, and now she's working to set up marketing channels so that these finished gems and jewelry can be sold within the country, within Africa, and also in the developed world. The last slide on the right is an island on a river in southeastern India. Although this is on a river, there was no electricity there, and so they had no irrigation. And as such, their agriculture was purely subsistence agriculture. Now, with the precision irrigation, they are able to optimize the use of their resources. They are able to increase their crop yield, and again, their livelihoods are uplifted by the intervention that IEEE Smart Village is assisting. Next slide, please. So we work through 5 regional working groups, and these are our frontline entities, and they are the ones that work directly with the people, with the underserved people in their communities, in their countries. Sitting in Palo Alto or sitting in Boulder, it is difficult for us to understand the social and the cultural nuances. We work with our colleagues, and again, we invite all of you to join some of these regional working groups. We are working currently in Africa, where we have a presence in 44 of the 54 countries. In China, Latin America, North America, and in South Asia, where we are dominantly working in India, but we also have proposals inbound from the Philippines, from Bhutan, and from Bangladesh. So next slide, please. One back, please. So as I said, our applicants come from underserved communities who are generally new to project and business management. So part of what we do is capacity building. This is a very large part of what we do. This can often take 3 months to 2 years for us to work with the applicants so that they are able to put together business plans, they're able to put together execution plans, they're able to put together marketing plans. We assist them in doing all of this, but it is with their advice and consent. Working with them, we build their capacity to help themselves. We provide some small seed funding, but we encourage them to develop plans where they will be either self-sustaining based on our seed funding, or more commonly, they can then look for other sources of funding based on the business model validation that they have done along with us. So here is the challenge to all of you then. You know, technology is important, but equally important is impedance matching technology with society. And the challenge to you then is to join us, because what we do is extremely fulfilling, and as with everything good, extremely frustrating at the same time. If you want to achieve anything, you have to work hard. We invite you to this challenge, and we'd be delighted if you will join us in advancing technology for all humanity. So with that, then, here is some information on how to contact us, and I'd be delighted to follow up with you within this session, or alternately, you can reach out to my colleague, David Saki, or others within Smart Village. We'd be happy to onboard you as volunteers to work with senior members, or if you have the skills yourself, if you have the heart for this, please join us. Let us make a change together. Let us impact the world for the better. So thank you very much, and back to you, Dr. Sampath. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Rajan. Very, very exciting presentation on Smart Village. It's one of the wonderful programs, as you rightly said. It's been there for 14 years, great impacts. We have a lot of questions that I see coming our way. We're going to talk about that. But quickly now, I wanted to give the floor to invite Dr. Lavanga, followed by then Dr. Muhammad, to talk about the IEEE Humanitarian Technologies Board and IEEE site. Lavanga has been, a key global leader in the humanitarian space. He has made a lot of contribution to many programs, to APEX site. So I'm truly delighted to see him that leading the inaugural Humanitarian Technology Board, which was established last year by the board of IEEE Board of Directors. So we will hear back from the global portfolio of programs, what is offered by STB, and also Dr. Mohammed is another great leader, who has done phenomenal work in the space. He has done great contributions in Morocco in the humanitarian space. He is now leading the one of the hot program from STB, which is the site program. So really thrilled to welcome you both, and I give the floor to you, Lavanga, followed by Dr. Muhammad to talk about STB and site.
Thank you so much, Sampath. Greetings to everyone attending this great event. I take this opportunity to thank the entire team that is behind putting this great event together. Today, I'll give a quick overview of the IEEE Humanitarian Technologies Board, as well as some of the major humanitarian technology programs at IEEE. And thereafter, Dr. Mohammed, the site chair, will talk about IEEE site. The vision of IEEE HTB is IEEE volunteers around the world carrying out and supporting impactful humanitarian technology activities at the local level. The mission of HTB is to support impactful and ethically informed volunteer-led initiatives, programs, and projects, and mutually beneficial partnerships, as well as to inform policy formulation that harness technology and innovation to address societal challenges in a responsive, effective, and a sustainable way. I think our next slide. Next slide. The vision of HTB is IEEE volunteers around the world carrying out and supporting impactful humanitarian technology activities at the local level. And its mission is basically to support impactful and ethically informed volunteer-led initiatives, programs, and projects, and mutually beneficial partnerships, as well as to inform policy formulation that harness technology and innovation to address societal challenges in a responsive, effective, and sustainable way. Next slide. The IEEE Humanitarian Technologies Board provides a leadership as well as a suite of resources that inspire and enable IEEE volunteers around the world to carry out and support impactful humanitarian technology and sustainable development activities at the local level. The 4 HTB strategic areas of focus deliver true benefits to IEEE, its organizational units, individual members, and of course, others who are touched by the work HTB and site volunteers. One of the key strategic areas of focus is raising awareness, and this is done to increase understanding of the role of engineering and technology in sustainable development. The other key strategic area of focus is training. This is done to provide, in order to provide educational resources and opportunities so that humanitarian technology participants can have a greater positive impact. One other key strategic area of focus is supporting humanitarian technology and sustainable development activities through awarding funding to grassroots IEEE member projects that definitely utilize technology to address local problems. One other strategic area of focus that HTB looks at is building a sustainable development community. And this is done through collaborating with other IEEE entities and with other IEEE entities across IEEE, as well as beyond IEEE, in order to foster the opportunities in sustainable development. Next slide. Sustainable development is all about meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, serve a universal call to action and provide a framework for sustainable development. Engineers have a vital role to play in achieving SDGs as sustainable development needs implementation. Many of the goals definitely require technical expertise in the IEEE fields of interest. When we talk about humanitarian technology, humanitarian engineering, we definitely mean the application of engineering to improve the well-being of the marginalized population and disadvantaged communities. HTB can support IEEE members who are interested in making a difference through community-driven, cross-disciplinary projects that definitely focus on finding technical solutions to basic needs. Next slide. Looking at this slide, it indicates that from 2013 to 2022, the IEEE HTB or its predecessor, HSC, and site have supported nearly 370 humanitarian technology and sustainable development projects with small grants totaling $2.6 million. Just in 2020 to 2021 alone, nearly 1,300 volunteers carried out funded projects in 191 communities in 36 countries. IEEE members implement the projects in their localities, utilizing their technical expertise to address key sustainable challenges the community is facing in order to help IEEE achieve its mission of advancing technology for the benefit of humanity. It is important to note that all funded projects address one or more UN Sustainable Development Goals. For example, in 2020, HTB received record-breaking responses to its call for proposals, and I can definitely relate this also in for this year's call. For example, in 2023, we received nearly 200 proposals that were submitted in the response to the HTB site call for proposals, as well as a collaborative call for proposals that is with the IEEE Communication Society. Next slide. In this respect, I hereby welcome my colleague, Dr. Mohammed, who will definitely talk about the IEEE site, the Special Interest Group on Humanitarian Technology. Thank you so much, Sampath, and everyone for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Lavanga. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Thank you, Lavanga, and Dr. Mohammed, we welcome you to talk about site.
Okay, thank you so much, Sampath. It's a great pleasure to take part in this great event. So IEEE site stands for IEEE Special Interest Group on Humanitarian Technology, which is a group fostering a network of technically trained volunteers. So IEEE site is a popular feet on the ground initiative operating as an HTD program. Sites a global network of volunteers partner with underserved communities and local organizations to leverage technology for sustainable development. We have some interesting figures to share here regarding site. First, for example, there are about 40,000 individual site members in 130 countries, from which we have 65% students and graduate students. And it's also important to highlight the fact that membership grew by over 50% in 2022, and it is up 13% in 2023 so far. So you can see also in the map here at the left, right, sorry, the location of different IEEE site groups on the map. We're covering all the continents. Site encourages members to form groups to learn about sustainable development, build relationships within their local communities through the product they are offering and developing for their communities, and implement products that utilize technology to tackle key challenges the community is facing. Since site's inception in 2011, there have been 218 site groups established in plus 15 countries. More information about site initiative, project, and program can be accessed through the website, site.ieee.org. Next slide, please. You can see here some interesting trends showing the increase of membership and the growth of membership year over year. Between 2022 and 2023, we went from something like 28,000 up to 40,000, something like 40,000 members. You have also the new site members by year, so, which is also showing a very important increase year over year. Okay, next slide, please. You can see on the map here the location of our site groups, and as you can see here in this map, we are present in all continents, in America, Africa, Europe, Asia. So even you have in New Zealand and on Philippines, we have also a site group. And then next slide, please. We're celebrating IEEE Site Day this year on the 28th of April. So this celebration or this day was launched in 2020, and it is held to foster a spirit of community for the global site network, increase awareness of IEEE site within IEEE, and to promote the opportunity to support site financially and celebrate the impact site volunteers and groups are making. You can check site website for recorded events and to register for the Site Day 2023 session. Activities held since 24th of April includes keynote session with the IEEE's president and CEO, Dr. Rahman, which focused on climate change and all the initiatives IEEE is developing for climate change mitigation. We had also chat with the HTV and the site chairs. The 2022 Site Award presentation ceremony, which took place only yesterday. We have also a 24 hours event. So it's a round-the-clock event that will take place soon within framework of the celebrations we have for the IEEE Site Day this year. Next slide, please. We have several opportunities within Site and the HTV. So there are opportunities targeting individual members, and there are also a few of them targeting the organizational units. So those targeting the individual members, like project opportunities. So individuals can submit a project to a call for proposals. They can add free site membership to their IEEE membership, to form a site group to assess needs in the local community, apply for financial resources, and implement a sustainable technological solution. Take part in the free online courses on humanitarian technology and the sustainable development topics available on the IEEE Learning Network, ILN. They can also donate to the IEEE Site Fund of the IEEE Foundation. So the contribution of any amount helps HTV Site transform the lives of individuals and communities around the world. For organizational unit, we have also a couple of opportunities, such as the possibility to identify potential opportunities for collaboration and joint programs, and the opportunity to publicize HTV Site opportunities and encourage members to get involved. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you so much. You have here some a contact email for any questions or any comments. Please feel free to reach out to us through this address email. Thank you.
Thank you, Lavanga and Dr. Muhammad for giving such an insightful presentation. We also thank STB for sponsoring this session. Without further delay, I would like to welcome Dr. Lewis, an amazing leader, a passionate leader when it comes to sustainable development space and whatnot. We have the best man in the room on social implications of technology. So I welcome him to present about IEEE SSIT, and then we will move on to the Q&A session.
Afternoon and evening to everyone. I'm talking to you from the Washington, D.C. area. So I want to start by telling you that I look at all problems in a holistic view as complex dynamic systems. And I try to treat them through the eyes of multidisciplines and interdisciplines. So it is important that you understand then that I am a biomedical engineer that works at the intersection of that field with healthcare, public health, IT, and national security. So the examples that I'm going to provide for you during this talk reflect my fields of expertise. So if you would have the same presentation done by somebody that is, for example, more involved on power systems, you will have a different set of examples, but the principles should be exactly the same. Forward, please. One more. One more, please. I'd like to describe, first of all, then, SSIT, because you see here it says 5 spheres. So these are areas that currently we have been focusing for many years, and it deals with humanitarian technology, technology and ethics, social inclusion, human use of technology, and sustainable technology. And as you can see in the screen, I highlighted some things that intersect with some of the words of our prior 3 speakers. You see the word site, you see the word humanitarian technologies that were mentioned by others, and so on. But if you think, just as I'm going to give you a few examples. On the first group, drones can carry blood. There was a May 2019 issue of Spectrum that showcased on the front page. It was in Africa. Some hospitals were brought blood and medications through these drones. Of course, the same drone could bring a bomb and destroy and kill people. So there are social implications of the same technology applied differently. But from the positive side, it can save lots of lives. That in that example. In terms of maintaining human values of technology and ethics, there is lots of issues that deal with privacy, big data. More and more, we are being flooded by cookies, and no matter where you try to find information, and this has all types of implications. Sometimes it can be economic one. If somebody knows your gene map, they might not want to cover you with health insurance, or they might want to triple. In other cases, you might remember what happened in Rwanda with the Tutsis. So knowing that somebody might be from some tribe, it could be part of genocide. So there are big issues. In India, you have systems like Aadhaar that affect 1.4 billion people. And there are ramifications on not on how they are using it, but how could it be used because of the information they possess. That's so much for that. But on the social inclusion, well, some of you already mentioned in so many words the digital divide, and pretty much the same way that houses and apartments in the 20th century came with electricity, water, and gas. I feel that particularly in the developed world, having fast access internet should be the utility of the 21st century. Of course, if you don't have food, if you don't have clean water, internet is not your priority in life. And 60% of the world population does not have access to internet. In terms of engaging the future, there are lots of technologies that you can go into having a wearable like this watch that you can measure your heart rate and your blood pressure. So for issues like allowing the elder to have home care, they are fantastic. But again, there are privacy issues because you could have a pacemaker or a defibrillator implanted on you, and somebody could hack it and kill you. So it's a double sword kind of a problem. On the other hand, we have Computer Society, for example, had published a few papers on how assure ourselves that, let's say that you're elder, you're trying to get some medications, but they might be very expensive. So you go through internet and you get them from another country. How do you know that the ingredients are really what they claim to be? How do you know that the amounts are what they claim to be? So there are some technologies that can help you determine that. And some of the IEEE societies specifically work on things like that. Also, the more we hear the Internet of Things, IoT, you have countries like Uruguay where every single cow and every single sheep has been identified and is in a database that will follow that animal for the rest of their lives, from the moment they're born to the moment they die. So you have not only the GIS coordinates of where they live, so you know the water that they drink, the grass that they eat, and if there would happen to be any contamination, because now you might be at home and in your refrigerator, you can have a piece of that. The supermarket not only can find out that through sensors that you're running out of that food, but they can also tell you that the package that you have is contaminated. So this is why traceability becomes such a good issue, and technology can help you there, prevent disease and focus on wellness. And the last of those 5 boxes talks about green ICT, of course, climate mitigation, but here we get into many other factors, because you have at the same time, while you having, for example, raising sea levels, a lot of the population that today live in the south areas of Bangladesh or India will have to migrate north. This causes problems of urbanization, and of course, from a healthcare perspective, the more dense the population is, the higher the chances of communicable diseases. So there are all these different facets that are fascinating and that affect people. Could I have the next slide, please? These are areas that that I'm trying to get a society to get heavily involved. I would like to have a 6th area which will deal with privacy, security, misinformation. But not only that, I would like to establish best practices. So if you're reading something, you should know if what you're reading is true or not. If you're a physician and you cannot open a file because you have ransomware, what should you do? Where you should connect? So I've been talking already with the president of the Standards Association and the president of IEEE, and they like this concept, which will be further discussed during the president's meeting this coming June in Chicago. Another area, obviously, is climate change. I'm envisioning that every society of IEEE has something to offer. NASA, for example, is heavily involved in remote sensing. This is very important for agriculture, but there might be issues like traceability that I mentioned to you before, issues that deal with floods, issues that deal with droughts. And one of the biggest concerns that I have is that you don't have these events happening in series. You have them in parallel. So the same day, you might have complete floods in some countries, complete droughts in other countries, and some countries that are being destroyed by hurricanes. This happened recently, where 33 million people's lives are at stake in Pakistan, because since June of last year, areas, very large areas of the country have been flooded. At the same time, you have complete droughts on the eastern side of Africa. And at the same time, in Florida, you have complete destruction caused by hurricanes. So my concept here is we need to get people to act local, but think global. And the reason is because, for example, in the case of Pakistan, it's the 3rd exporter of agriculture. So if the agriculture doesn't come from there, where is it going to come? You have a war going on in Ukraine and Russia, and 30% of all the production in the world comes from that area. But not only that, they feed 52 different nations. If they don't get the grain, now you have famine. So these are very, very important considerations. If we can move a little bit forward. So I'm not going to dwell on this. Everybody knows what happened with COVID, but the reality is that we need to have fast detection, fast science, fast and effective communications, integration, effective action. It's not enough for one country to say we have the problem solved, because the disease spreads so fast that you have different versions, which is what ended up happening with COVID. So it's best for the overall strategy to work together. Next slide, please. This happened this February. You had a big derailment of a train in East Palestine here in Ohio, where chemicals were released. Next slide, please. At the same time, we found out this March that 400,000 gallons of water leaked from a nuclear reactor, water containing tritium. These are big deals. Next slide, please. When you talk about SBURN, which is chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosives, those are events that don't happen very often, but when they happen, they're devastating. So basically, this chart is showing you that the more you move to the left, the higher the impact. But on the other hand, the frequency is very low. But you saw in the case of COVID, which is biological, it happened just once, but it caused all types of damage, and it's still causing damage around the world. So we need to think globally, and particularly how to be more effective against these things. Next slide, please. These are things that happened before, but the fact that many of these things are down in the water or in the earth, and the new generations don't know about it, doesn't mean that they're not there. These are very high risk. Next slide, please. And this is a typical example of something that is happening in the Pacific, where, next slide, please. This is a dome that in the Marshall Islands that contains lots of radioactive material. And what happens is they have already some cracks. And because of the rising sea levels, very soon they will be underwater. So you can imagine what that leakage will do to our food chain, fish, et cetera, et cetera. I'm gonna stop here, but I wanted to give you some sort of a big picture of many things that are related. And as we move on, I'll keep going with this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. This is a very, very amazing presentation from you. Not really touching upon the society, but also like touching upon the various aspects of problem people have to holistically consider. As you rightly pointed out, some of these topics are highly interconnected, and people will not realize how interdisciplinary, this field is, how unique it is. So with that, like a brief note about all the presentation, these are great topics. Condensing them into 10 minutes, it's not, we wanted to show to people a 360-degree view of these problems, but then we also envision to bring all of these great speakers, possibly in a separate talk where you will hear more, because the breadth of knowledge they have is very, very immense. So with that note, I would like to spend a little bit of time, which is available right now on the quick Q&A. The first question I would like to pose to Lavanga, the STB chair. Lavanga, it's a big deal for IEEE to have a new board on the humanitarian space. So I would like to hear from you at a high level. What are some of the avenues HKN members can participate to leverage their skill set in emerging technologies? Lavanga, can you hear me?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sampath. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, please proceed.
Oh, thank you. There are a number of ways in which our HKN can HKN members can leverage opportunities within IEEE HTB. One way is through, for example, as far as HTB is concerned, we can definitely collaborate with HKN in organizing and conducting inspirational talks to motivate and inspire the young professionals to appropriately and proudly promote the IEEE fields of interest. HTB has a number of diverse and great leaders who are definitely available and always to participate and facilitate some of these sessions.
Thank you.
The other avenue could be sponsorship. Sponsorship is one other area that HTB can provide to advance professional and leadership excellence within HKN. These are key components that can contribute to the global agenda of advancing sustainable humanitarian enrichment and development.
Thank you, Lavanga. There are some interesting topics which you covered in your presentation earlier: the project funding opportunity, the capacity building, workshop opportunity, site as a program. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot more that comes as a package from STB. So it's great to hear from you on that. Now I'd like to go to Dr. Rajan Kapoor. We heard about this great presentation about Smart Village, right? And people talk about emerging technologies, like thinking that, as you rightly pointed out, it's not the Teslas always, right? So my specific question to you, Rajan sir, is, the definition of emerging technology varies from geographic region to geographic region. So what are the key factors engineers consider while they are designing solutions to global challenges? I would like to hear your thoughts on it.
So thank you, Sampath. I will echo the words of one of my colleagues who says that new technology is always welcome, but the PhD should be inside the box. It should be maintainable by people out in the field. When we deploy technology, we should be deploying technology for 20 and 25-year lives. And if that technology cannot be maintained and operated for that period within a neglected community, then we are doing no good. We are doing harm because we are taking away resources that could otherwise be used more effectively. So I'll stop over here in the interest of time. The key is the longevity and the usability of the technology that we take into these underserved regions. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, Rajan sir. Well said, actually, right? One is contextually, it has to be relevant and it has to be appropriate. And a great call out from you on that. And again, great insight about the Smart Village presentation today. Thanks to you on that. I want to quickly go to Dr. Muhammad. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad, for all the stellar growth on the site, and quite excited and a happy site day to your team tomorrow. And I'm sure HKN members will also join that. My question to you is, if I'm an HKN member, is it possible for me to start a site group in my chapter, or can I participate in site projects?
Thank you so much, Sampath, for this very good question. I think as a HKN student member, I think it's easy to start probably reaching out to existing site group. This is probably the first thing probably we can explore. And of course, as it was mentioned earlier, you can add for free the site membership, so you can to start a site group, I think it's also another option if you have the required number of members, and that, I think it's an easy and well-established process, and it can be done. And I invite you to just check more information about the process that will allow you to establish the site group through the website. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad, and thanks for pointing out. Right, site membership is free today. The HKN members could register for it, and they get access to all the portfolio of programs what you and Lavanga called out: the projects called fair, the newsletter, the educational workshops. So with that, I wanted to go to Dr. Lewis again, a very, very important topic, which is happening at IEEE level, which is about the climatic change, right? The climatic change is a hot topic now. So Dr. Lewis, to you, can you provide some example how IEEE members can leverage their technical expertise on emerging technologies to address the challenges faced in the climatic change spectrum.
Sure. If I could move to slide number 16, please. Okay. This is the way in the year 2100 the world would look like in terms of mega cities, and the numbers are monstrous. Basically, there are two big issues healthcare wise. One is the fact that the longer we live, we are already 8 billion people. We have more and more, thanks to the advancements in science and technology, we live longer. But then our parts were not made to live longer. So this creates a sustainability problem financially, because the longer you live, the more parts need to be replaced or fixed. So you become very expensive. So this is unsustainable. And the second problem is, because of climate change, you have issues of migration in addition to the problems of food, etc. And this brings the possibilities of communicable diseases. Next slide, please. Now, when I looked, there can somebody move it forward, please? From these 20 cities in the world, yeah, right here. Look at the numbers on the third column. These are cities, not countries, which will have over 88 million in one case. But then go to the next column, the last one, and look at the percentage of the population that have no internet access. So if we had today a digital divide, you can see what this is going to be like. It's going to be terrible, because the rate of growth in Africa is 5 times faster than the rest of the world, which means, and by the way, 13 of the cities are in Africa, 7 are in Asia, of the 20 most populated places. Some people right now think that China and India are fighting. Well, that's over. By the end of the century, which is not that far away, by the way, we're gonna have this big problem of very large cities with no infrastructure support, no hospitals, no roads, no education. And information becomes very, very critical. Forward, please.
Okay. So let's just going to brief it. So we can
right. Just wanted to showcase that this is the United States, and this is from a study that came out in July of 21. Basically, the center, the rural areas, also have between 22 and 62% of no access to internet. And so, it's happening not just in developing nations, but developed nations as well. So we have big challenges ahead. Climate change makes things worse, because California, for example, was on droughts for 3 years in a row and fires. Suddenly now it's floods, so things are changing. Sudan, South Sudan, and some areas of East Africa that were completely droughts, now they have floods. So it's a dynamic problem, very complex, and long-term solutions are going to be very difficult to get. I'm stopping here.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Lewis. That was a very deep insight how these problems are interconnected, how it's important and relevant. So with that brief note, I'm going to take this opportunity to thank our amazing set of panelists today. Dr. Rajan Kapoor, again from Smart Village, Dr. Lavanga, Chair of IEEE, the Humanitarian Technology Board, Dr. Mohammed, Chair of the SITE program, and Dr. Lewis Kuhn, President of IEEE SSIT. It is an honor to have you all today, to hear from you the breadth and width of offerings what IEEE offers in the sustainable development space, how emerging technology is very, very vital in addressing these universal challenges. So I'm pretty sure our HKN audience and the participants are very, very excited. But as I said, don't stop here. Go and look out into this program. Write to them. They are amazing leaders, and you may get mentors, and you will find opportunities to contribute to this program. So with that note, TechX is on behalf of the TechX team, I really thank you all again for joining. And there are a very, very exciting set of programs throughout the day. So request the audience to continue participating in these interesting panels and get benefited from the experience and the call-outs on opportunities to engagement. So with that brief note, thank you again, you all, for joining this panel, and looking forward to see you in the next section shortly. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for joining. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.